We've talked on a variety of occasions about the fact that, and I think we did this just yesterday on our first day back, the COVID is not gone. It's
No.
still here. We're not going to have the debate over whether we're in a worse situation come the fall and we have to go back into lockdown, But right now we're in a wave. And I looked at the numbers today, and again today, 196 new hospitalizations. We still have over 2,000 people in hospital. And we get these every day. Might as well mention. People say, don't ignore this, because if you do, people will not be paying attention. COVID's still here.
It is.
There are people getting sick, and yes, there are still people dying.
Every day.
Yeah. Which is why I thought it was important to get to this next story. I read I guess you can call this an op-ed. It was published in the Gazette on the weekend. And it concerns someone. And when I first looked at this, I thought, wait a sec, is this going back months ago? No, this goes back 2 weeks ago, middle of July, about a gentleman whose father had gotten sick and gotten COVID. And I want him to tell the story because he's on the line. And as I said, when I first read this, I was quite moved. It's a very, very sad story, but it's important to tell.
Agreed.
Because this is the reality of what is going on still now, even now. Jean BOTTARI is on the line. And Jean, first of all, thank you for doing this. I imagine it's not an easy thing to have to recount, having lived through this. You lost your dad.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Yeah, listen, first of all, tell people, what is your background, by the way?
I have been an orderly for the... I'm sorry about my English.
Your English is fine.
It's a little rusty, but I'll try to do my best.
You sound great.
I was an orderly for the past 31 years, and I've seen people die before. That's not a problem, during my career. And I left the healthcare sector in 2014 because I couldn't take it anymore.
Okay.
We were already overworked, and that's it. I left before even I could retire.
Okay. So I thought that was important to know because you've seen what things are like in the system, and sadly your story is about the system right now and how it's been affected by COVID. So if you could retell the story based on what you wrote, and I'll just start you off. Your dad got sick, and this is now July 12th.
Yes.
And he was transported to hospital. What happened?
He was transported to hospital the 12th. He was obviously stayed in the emergency room, and they put him in a room that is especially for COVID, isolated from all the others. And when I got there, I noticed there were many, many cases, many patients who had COVID who were isolated. I'd say about 50% of them were COVID. And the 12th and 13th, everything was going fine. They were taking care of him. He had an oxygen mask. His oxygen was monitored, his saturation, everything was going so-so. He was breathing. He had a hard time breathing, but with the oxygen mask, he was doing okay.
Now, let me stop you for a second. Had he been diagnosed with COVID at that point, or because you wrote he was being treated for pneumonia?
He had been diagnosed with COVID, and pneumonia probably was due to his COVID.
Okay.
That's what they told us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're taking turns at this point, visiting your father. Your daughter is going when you can't go. Go ahead.
Yeah. My daughter and I. And July 14th, she was there in the morning, and she was supposed to go to work in the afternoon. So I got there at 12:15. And as soon as I got there, my father had a very, very hard time breathing. He was gasping for air. And I noticed that they had removed his oxygen mask. I have no idea why, but they had removed it. And they weren't monitoring his oxygen anymore. And in 24 hours, my dad's face had changed completely. And he was really gasping for air. He had a hard time breathing. So my daughter decided to ring the bell. She rang the bell. My daughter holds one of my father's hands. I was holding the other. And 15 minutes later, he just lifted his eyes up to the sky. He sighed. He had his last breath, closed his eyes, and he was gone. But during those 15 minutes, no one came. No one answered the bell. So my daughter decided to deactivate it. And later on, about 45 minutes later, I see a nurse passing by, rushing by because they're very busy. By the way, I'm not blaming them. I know they're overworked. Mm-hmm. I tell the nurse that my dad had passed. She says, okay, he's not my patient. My condolences. I'll tell the nurse who's in charge of your dad. And she continued running. So we stayed there for another close to 3 hours, I'd say. During those 3 hours, I saw a doctor. Not in my dad's room, though. Outside of my dad's room, I saw a doctor. He gave us his condolences. I saw another nurse. I saw the head nurse. But no one bothered to go in the room to see if effectively my dad was dead or not. Like I told you, I worked 31 years as an orderly. I knew my dad passed away. But I'm just trying to imagine a family that has no notion in healthcare and the symptoms that a person goes through, being left all by themselves. It's not humane to do that. Mm. It isn't.
Mm-hmm. I want to stop you. Jean, I want to stop you for just a second and go back to what you said about the call button. So you're in the room. Your dad is now obviously in difficulty.
Yeah.
Your daughter rings the call button to get someone to come to try to do something, and nobody showed up.
No one showed up. And like I told you, after 3 hours, no one went in the room to verify if he had a pulse, if he was effectively passed. So that's why I'm talking about it. It's not for myself.
Yeah. And you make a very good point, and I think it's worth saying again. You're not blaming anybody here because, as you said, there are other patients, and it's a busy time. It's understaffed. We all know how tough it is in hospitals, and that's important to point out. You didn't write this to blame anybody. You wrote it to basically cast some light on the situation and just how bad it is.
Yeah, and to alert the authorities, the government. They're telling us everything is going fine, but the staff is so overworked, whether it be the doctors, the nurses, the orderlies, everyone is going crazy.
Jean, your dad was 98 years old, as you point out. Do you feel like his age played a role in how he was treated?
Actually, I thought about that later on that day, and I think it might have something to do with it.
I'm curious, too, why, you pointed this out early, why was his oxygen mask taken off?
Aaron, I was so distraught when this happened that I left the hospital. I didn't even think about asking them why they took the oxygen away.
Okay, because they put it on. They know he's dealing with an issue. He's having trouble breathing, yet someone took the mask off and never put it back on. Yeah. Okay.
And it was that way since my daughter got there. He didn't have his mask on that day.
And he'd had it on prior to that. Every time you'd seen him, he had it on.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you get answers now, Jean?
Well, actually, because I'm not naming the hospital. I don't want to, because this can happen anywhere now in Quebec. So there's one journalist, though. I named the hospital to her, and she called the hospital. And they told her, obviously, they're not going to discuss, because of patient confidentiality,
right.
Not going to discuss a specific case. And they told them, tell the person to complain. I'm not going to complain because I know the system, and nothing is going to happen. I'm going to try to get his file if I can, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Again, I thought this was just important that people realize this didn't happen 6 months ago, Jean. This happened basically 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
So the situation, even now that we think the worst is over, is still as bad.
Still going on, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the story. I know, as I said, it wasn't easy to do, and our condolences, of course, to you and your family.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you both for having me.
Yeah.
And Aaron, I've been listening to you for ages. That doesn't make you any younger, neither do I, but I've been out here listening to you for a long time.
Well, we appreciate that, and I wish we could have done this under better circumstances. But, Jean, I do thank you for sharing the story. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
That's what's going on. See, you don't talk about it every day. You tend to forget. There are still people getting sick, going to hospital, and dying in hospitals. I kind of had the shivers a bit to hear that you could sit there and just press a call button. Your dad's basically dying in front of you. Nobody showed up.
What I'm really struck by is that Jean, he doesn't sound angry.
No.
As he said, he's not naming the hospital. He's not naming names at all. He just felt like the story needed to be told, and I couldn't agree more.
And so did we.
Mm-hmm.